Hey guys, we're going to talk about half angles and double angles. With calculators today, this skill is almost out of date. However, in future classes, this skill helps build for those skill sets. So the basic idea is, let's say that we're trying to find theta and then find the sine thereafter. But we live in a society where we only know 45 degrees. Well, if we knew what sine of 45 degrees was, in theory we could just double it to figure out what 90 degrees is. And the same is true is, let's say, we knew what the sine of 60 degrees is. We could half it to figure out what the sine of 30 degrees are. So here are the equations that we use to find half and double angles. So pause the video right now and then write these in your notebook. Okay, so we're going to do 3 examples using these equations. So our first one is write what you see twice. So I have sine theta minus cosine theta twice. And then I'm just going to rewrite everything else. I'm going to FOIL minus 2 cosine sine plus cosine squared, and then rewrite everything else. Okay. Sine squared plus cosine squared is the same as 1. And then 2 cosine sine, based off our equations from the previous page, is the same as sine 2 theta. Negative sine plus sine cancel, and I'm left with 1 equals 1, which is true. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to rewrite everything else on this side. Okay, and then 2 sine x cosine x is the same as sine of 2x, and then I'm going to rewrite everything else. Okay, I'm going to subtract sine 2x from both sides. And those cancel, and I'm left with sine squared x plus cosine of 2x is equal to cosine squared of x. Okay. From our equations from the previous page, cosine of 2x is the same as cosine squared minus sine squared. Sine squared minus sine squared, those cancel each other out. I'm left with cosine squared is equal to cosine squared, which is the same, which is true. Okay, for our last one, I'm looking at these and saying, what can I factor out? Well, there's a 4 in both, there's a sine in both, and there's a cosine in both. So I have 4 sine cosine. What would be left from here is cosine squared. And then what would be left here is sine squared. Okay? So I'm going to split this 4 up into 2 times 2. And then I have sine, cosine, and then I'm going to leave everything inside the same. So 2 sine cosine is the same as sine of 2 theta. So 2 sine cosine, this right here, turned into this here. And then I'm going to change cosine squared minus sine squared is the same as cosine of 2 theta. Okay, so now I have here, I have 2 sine cosine. which is the same as sine 2 theta. However, they already have a 2 there. So because they already have a 2 there, it's 2 times 2, or 4, which is what we wanted to get. So to review this one, we had 2 sine cosine, which is the same as sine of 2 theta, but since we already had a 2, it's 2 times 2 to get that 4. All right, if you have any questions, please email me.